republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to have a motion to move residents wishing to speak in town board comments to the beginning of the meeting. Motion made by Daniel Cicerelli. Do we have a second? Second by Matt Cushing. All in favor? Aye. This is a special meeting today. We have a presentation. I would like to first make a brief comment regarding our Veterans Coordinator, his ability to pull off what I think was a miracle. We put on a Memorial Day car show, the first annual Memorial Day car show. They came together very quickly, and it was, in my opinion, it was a tremendous success. We had over 70 vehicles that participated, many community organizations, but what was most important was we had a lot of veteran organizations that were there. We were able to raise awareness to our Veterans Coordinator office, and then even more importantly, we were able to raise money for a fantastic organization that represents veterans in the entire county and the entire region. So I would like Mike Hart to come up. He's got some words to say, and then we'll present a nice check.
All right, thank you, everyone. This is a memorandum for record that I asked Nick to put into the town minutes. It reads as follows. On behalf of the town of Salina and the Veteran Outreach Office, we'd like to personally thank the below individuals and groups, along with our local shops in the town, for assisting us in making the first annual Memorial Weekend Car Show a huge success. Also, a special thanks to Honor Flight Syracuse, the nonprofit group that we raised funding during the show for. Yes, without assistance, these groups and the car show wouldn't have seen the light of day. In the military, we often use acronyms, and I often tell people, especially for this show, we hope that Bob is out there. All right, Bob stands for the big orange ball or the sun. So Bob was shining, and it was a beautiful day. Nick called that one. Let's see, this in just 4 hours, the show raised $2,600 for Honor Flight Syracuse. This great organization assists veterans by flying them to our nation's capital to see all the military memorials and experiencing a welcome home they will never forget, especially the Vietnam vets. And I'll say it right now, welcome home, Vietnam vets, welcome home. Lastly, this event was a great way to bridge the gap between the military veterans and the citizens of the town of Salina. Lastly, a big thanks to the 71 beautiful cars that attended the event. Very much appreciate it. This time, I'd like to ask the board to step down and Honor Flight come up. We have a check we want to present.
Okay, we're gonna need a couple of people over here. Alright, right here. Smile like you know each other. There you go, one more time.
Thank you. Good?
One more second. Uh-oh.
Okay, thanks. Can I make a couple of comments?
I would love you all if you would like to. Sure. Absolutely.
Thank you for having us.
So, first of all, I want to thank Mike for a great program that he pulled out of the ashes, I've been told, by a lot of people. I'm surprised at how well it came off. And he put tremendous effort into it. I could see it, and a lot of passion. And he and Patty, who was a coordinator from Honor Flight, really pulled this thing off superbly. So sincere thanks to both of them. We also have two of our board members here today to say thanks. Our good friend Paul Tremont, retired, and another retiree, along with myself, a retiree. We seem to attract him. Dan Cummings, who usually needs no introduction. Honor Flight has been an extraordinary organization nationally and locally. We have about 130 honor flights around the country, pubs we call them, that have taken in excess of 270,000 veterans to Washington, with Syracuse having taken about 1,300 plus. We've been around since 2012. We were started by Randy Flath, who had taken his father on a Rochester honor flight, loved it, came back and said, we gotta do this in Syracuse. He was a lineman at Dallas Graphics. He met John Paddock, retired Rear Admiral, and the Admiral said, well, how are we doing? He said, well, we gotta get it organized. And so Admiral Paddock took over and Honor Flight was born. What we experience now is taking a large number of Vietnam veterans, as you might expect, and they have been very, very grateful for the experience and have done very, very well, being recognized for the first time in many instances. Straight out of my back to you.
You're okay.
So that's a little bit of what I wanted to say about Honor Flight. We're very grateful that you would support something like this. It really makes a difference. Every time one of our flights goes up, you're looking at a cost of somewhere between $120,000 and $140,000. And we are very grateful to have a check like this, which really helps us tremendously. We have a great group of volunteers. We're organizing that well. We've got a new director of marketing and communications. And
I brought a big check.
he created the check, so we got to work with him more. We've got a great team, and we're pleased to be here. Let me just ask Patty, who really did all the work here from an Honor Flight's perspective, to make a few comments, and then we'll let you get on with your business.
Thank you so much.
You know, I said this the day of the event, and I sincerely mean it. I am so impressed with this community of Salina. I mean, how you came together at the last minute and raised $2,600 for our honored veterans is just, you know, just applauding to you. We're very, very, we're very honored to have accepted this and all the work that you, and I mean, Mike stepped in and, you know, at the last minute here and, you know, very, what a guy, you know, a VA, you know, he's your outreach guy, and he's just did a superb job, military mind, right there. But and the day of the event, everybody was just into it, you know, and it was extremely well done.
Good
Very,
music.
very proud of this community.
We're excited for next year.
It was great to have Nick there. Nick came and
Yeah.
we saw him, and we're grateful for that too. Let me just ask Paul or Dan, you have anything you want to say?
We're just grateful to the town, and we'll erase that check with a paper towel and bring it back next year.
There you
He's
go.
always saying,
Awesome. Thank you.
thanks, guys.
Thank you. Okay. Any residents sign up wishing to speak? Is there any residents from the public that would like to speak? You can sign up. There is nobody, so we're set. We're good. Thank you, Rich. First vote.
Okay, I got a few things. We have our village election June 20th. The polls open at 12 until 9 p.m. I wish everyone to show up and vote for your favorite candidate. And on Birch Street, we have a new playground being put in. Should be finished in the next couple of weeks.
Second ward. Third ward?
Third Ward Community Group meeting is 6:30 p.m. this Thursday at the Magic Fire Department. This goes to Supervisor. Some people are asking about the community building. Obviously, we had a lot of momentum. I'm still having issues with my email, so I don't know if we've gotten it. I'm just trying to make sure residents are getting updated, starting to ask me a lot of questions. So just trying to see if we have some kind of timeline. When is the next step going to be? Anything like that.
All right. I would like to make a point. She stepped out of the what? What am I missing? Okay. Okay. There is no fourth board comment. You can't hear well? Okay. We'll try to speak better into the microphone. She stepped out of here, but there's one person that I would like to also make a very heartfelt thank you to at this meeting, and that's my assistant, Jody Bortel. Jody was pivotal and instrumental with us putting on the car show. Just as much as Mike was. In fact, she took on the job of the car show before Mike was in the position, and if she didn't keep it above water, it would never have been in Mike's hands to start with. So I know she's not here, but maybe we can put this in the minutes, and it'll forever live in the minutes, the effort that she put in to put on this first annual car show. I'd also like to just make a second to reflect on one of the comments that one of the board members had just made regarding the town of Miscellaneous, what we've been able to accomplish, this board's been able to accomplish. And I've said this multiple times throughout my tenure as supervisor, but I think it's more important than ever. With the board, as one person on this board who has the most experience, 4 years of experience on this board, 2 members who are brand new and 2 other members who have less than 4 years of experience, less experience than I do. This board has done a tremendous amount of work and a tremendous amount of positive things for the community. It was selfless. It was not oriented based on personal interest. There were no personal vendettas, I don't think, that were served by anybody on this board. And it's been something I think many of us, most of us on this board at least, can pat themselves on the back for. There are some things I do want to say, though, that I'm just going to make quickly a comment on. I'm rather disappointed with some of the meetings that have taken place over the last couple months. And I'm hoping that this will be the last one where we have to actually have the court officers attending. And I know that they had asked me, obviously, previously not to bring attention to their presence here, but I think it's an absolute shame what has happened at these board meetings by some very specific individuals who do have a very specific purpose, a very personal reason for why they attend these meetings. I've been threatened to watch my back at this meeting. I have had somebody put their hands on me at one of these meetings. This board was cussed at from one of the members of the public at one of these meetings. And it's the same small group of people that seem to congregate next to each other at the beginning and the end of these meetings. And the behavior has been absolutely and utterly despicable. I will say one thing, because this is kind of an intimate setting. For the last 4 months, and I'm going to get personal just so you can understand that how bad your behavior has been. The last 4 months of my personal life, my stepfather's been in the hospital, twice in the ICU, septic, dying, and I've been taking care of him. My mother had been in the hospital as well. She barely eats. She sleeps on a love seat because of what she's going through, and I've been taking care of her. My grandmother, who lives with them, who has suffered with MS for 40 years, doesn't have her caretaker at home, and I've been taking care of her. So the behavior of these folks that have been in this room, and the way they've treated this board and myself, I just want you to know that I hope it was worth it for you, regardless of what happens the next month. I hope it was worth it. But the most important thing to me is I can keep my head held up high of what this board's been able to accomplish, what I've been able to accomplish, and how I have not let it affect what's most important, and that's taking care of my family. Those are my comments for today. Thank you. Do we have a motion to approve the May 22nd, 2023 minutes?
Make a motion.
Motion made by Matthew Cushing. Do we have a second? Seconded by Daniel Cicerelli. All in favor? Town engineer.
I'd like the board to consider a revocable license for 4031 Pawnee Drive to condition a defense installer. As some of the ones in the past, hand-in post holes. Doesn't look like there's any drainage facilities there, but that doesn't mean that there's not. So, of that condition, I'd like the board to consider approving it. The backyard's already surrounded by fences and easement tight to the ground, so it's going to be a detriment to.
No issues? Okay. Jason, you want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Jason Record. Do we have a second?
Just quickly before I second Jason, you said that the the only thing holding it back is the drainage, or there's definitely drainage, you just have to locate it? or-
No, it doesn't appear to be any drainage facilities there, though.
Okay.
There's nothing there.
Second.
Second by Matthew Cushing, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Bieber.
Yes.
Councilor Cushing.
Yes.
Councilor Cicerelli.
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell.
Yes.
I'd also like the board to authorize the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Enviro Aquatics for the weed removal in the Sun Harbor Pond, an amount of $13,500. This cost is funded by the neighborhood there into the Sun Harbor Weed Removal District.
So this is a tax that the neighborhood itself put on itself a few years ago to help in maintaining the weeds that are in this pond. The funds have already been raised for this year for the removal, but it might be likely that we not do this next year. We may not have to raise the money for it next year. It's gonna be conversations that I think the first ward counselor should have with that neighborhood about whether or not they would like us to continue to tax them on this for this, or if they don't think it's necessary. But again, the money's there for this year, so it might as well be spent on this.
The town pays a portion of it, right?
So yes, yep.
How does the price compare to previous years?
It's increased, isn't it?
$1,500, I believe.
Okay.
Just 15?
It was 12,000 last 2 years.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Motion made by Jason, do we have a second? Second by Matthew Cushing, please call the roll.
Councilor Bieber.
Yes.
Councilor Cushing.
Yes.
Councilor Cicerelli.
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell.
Yes.
And I'd like to ask the board to authorize CNS companies to publicly bid the 2023 concrete gutter removal project with a bid opening at 10 a.m. on July 6th in the town clerk's office. This year's roads include all of Tomwood Drive, Donlin Drive from Scottsdale to the school entrance, Sandalwood from Thomas to Hearthstone, and Tigerwood from Ingleside to Blackwood.
Need to make that motion.
Motion made by Matthew Cushing, do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Daniel Cicerelli, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Bieber.
Yes.
Councilor Cushing.
Yes.
Councilor Cicerelli.
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell.
Yes. Town attorney.
The first motion before you consider is a motion to ratify all the signed agreements, the supervisor signed in connection with the Maddie Main Street Grant Program. This is just ratifying the agreements that were signed in their final form, and more importantly, allows us to get reimbursed by the county.
Any questions? Do we have a motion?
Make that motion.
Motion made by Daniel Cicerelli, do we have a second?
Second.
Seconded by Matthew Cushing, clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Bieber.
Yes.
Councilor Cushing.
Yes.
Councilor Cicerelli.
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell.
Yes.
And then the next motion is the same motion as it applies to the Main Street #1 capital project, grants. Those are actually the ones that were done under Colleen, I believe, Nick? Is that-
They were originally approved under county, those projects started in 2022.
Correct, so those were the first set of projects.
Yep. We have a motion.
Make the motion.
Motion made by Daniel Cicerelli, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Jason. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Bieber.
Yes.
Councilor Cushing.
Yes.
Councilor Cicerelli.
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell.
Yes.
The next motion before you is a motion, basically telling our legislators, state legislators, that we would, as the town of Salina, like to see laws in place that would require voters to show identification at the ballot.
Any questions?
Now, just a personal story actually. So my grandmother had passed away, and my mother went to go vote, and my grandmother's name was still on the voter registry. She told this to them, and the next year it was still on the voter registry. So this is definitely a reason that I'm in favor of this ratification.
I'd like to make the motion.
Motion made by Matthew Cushing, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Daniel Cicerelli. Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Bieber.
Yes.
Councilor Cushing.
Yes.
Councilor Cicerelli.
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell.
Yes.
Right, and the final motion that you have before you is setting a public hearing for a local law that will actually replace the cannabis business district on certain parcels on Virgin Road and South Bay Road area, that corridor there.
So there's been two, I'm just gonna add some flavor to it. So we had a local law, we had a public hearing on it regarding the special permitting process. We're actually going to add the parcels into that local law now, where we'll be placing the overlay district. That local law was not passed, we've been still waiting to hear back from the county. So what we're gonna be doing is essentially going to a public hearing with that same exact local law, but we're also going to have the parcels that the district's gonna be in. We have been approached by two potential dispensaries that have their licenses, that want to open up. They would be opening up quite quickly if we can get this passed. I will also say this, when a legal dispensary opens up in the town, it provides a greater stick for the Office of Cannabis Management to go after those who are selling marijuana illegally. Because their biggest avenue to shut down an illegal shop is by showing that that shop is taking tax revenue from a legal dispensary, taking tax revenue out of the state's pocket. So if you had a legal dispensary there, they'd be getting the tax, that tax would be getting removed by someone selling illegally. So it allows them to go after that. There are a couple of spots that we know of actually that would be shut down, probably almost immediately after one of these legal ones open up. So this is kind of a twofold. Get a legal dispensary open in the town, we can start receiving revenue on it immediately. At the same time, it provides a larger stick for the OCM to close down the illegal shops that are also causing the problem. So anyways, do we have a motion?
Just so for the record, so we're setting the public hearing for our July 10th meeting
Correct.
at 6:31.
6/31, July 10th, public hearing for local laws.
That will give us enough time to hear back from the county on both.
Yeah, and we're hopeful that the county will have given their comments, so that way we'll be able to pass this in some form on that day as well. We have a motion.
Make the motion.
Motion made by Daniel Cicerelli, give it a second. Second by Matthew Cushing, clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Lupo?
Aye.
Counselor Fish?
Yes.
Counselor Cicerelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell?
Yes. The next item is authorize the transfer of funds from the highway blacktop to the highway equipment repair in the amount of $15,000 for plow truck repairs to address rust. Do we have a motion? Motion made by Matthew Cushing, do we have a second?
Second.
Second made by Daniel Cicerelli. Clerk, please call the roll.
Counselor Lupo?
Yes.
Counselor Fish?
Yes.
Counselor Cicerelli?
Yes.
Supervisor Farrell?
Yes. Before we vote on the next item, I'm going to ask that we move to executive session to discuss ongoing litigation.
And an asset matter, yep.
Yep. And I'm going to actually invite the clerk and the town engineer to the executive session with our attorney, okay?
It's fine.
Do we have a motion to enter executive session? Motion. Motion made by Daniel Cicerelli, do we have a second? Seconded by Matthew Cushing, all in favor? Aye. We will be out afterwards, obviously, this shouldn't take too long.